Hello, everybody. I'm Kristen Baskett, the Solutions Marketing Manager for BMC TrueSight Operations Management. And thank you all for attending today's session, Network Management for Better Service Performance. We have two industry experts with us here today to illustrate how an integrated solution using Entuity Network Management and BMC TrueSight really makes a difference when it comes to managing your network services. I think you'll see how service performance can be enhanced, managed, and how ultimately it empowers your end user community for success. So let's run through the agenda really quick. We'll be doing a quick overview of Entuity Network Management. Then we'll be tackling how BMC has successfully replaced our company-wide PBX phone system with the voice over IP platform and how the joint capabilities of TrueSight and Entuity came together to help make that a success. We'll then illustrate what's at stake if your platform tools are not integrated, and then we'll wrap up the entire session with your questions. So let's introduce our speakers. Today we have with us John Diamond. He is the product manager for the Entuity Network Management product. And John is responsible for understanding the customer's needs to uncover opportunities for creating product enhancements, providing technical direction, product planning, and development. John is also a technical liaison to several of the company's strategic U.S. customers. We also have with us Bob Hayward. Bob is the Senior Manager of IT Digital Enablement here at BMC, and his responsibilities include identifying and implementing the automation of IT. In his previous life, he worked in the Global Network Operations Center and was the process for event and problem management for BMC Software's IT organization. Working in our service management office, he's helped define, implement, and manage these processes, including their relationships with other ITIL processes. He's a driving force behind the implementation of business service management and digital enterprise management here at BMC. And he joined us back in March of 2007. So welcome, presenters. And the last little housekeeping item, a quick reminder for you guys, please use the chat panel for any questions, and we will make time at the end of the presentation to make sure that we get them all covered. So with that, I'm going to hand the mic over to John. John,
thank you. Thank you very much, Kristen, and hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us. We're here today to expand on the principle that an integrated BMC, BSM or DM platform delivers even better service performance by adding Entuity Network Management, thereby creating end-to-end visibility. I'd like to start off by giving you a bit of a background on the relationship Entuity has with BMC. We've had a formal partnership for over 8 years now, and Entuity Network Management has been available through BMC as the network management component of their product portfolio. Currently, over 500 joint customers are now benefiting from deploying Entuity in conjunction with other BMC products. Our global customer base consists of networks as small as 50 infrastructure devices, and at the other end of the scale, there are massive networks exceeding 30,000 devices. Our off-the-shelf Entuity integrations for BMC are extensive. I'm going to share a couple of examples of their business value. Let's start with the TrueSight Operations Management integration. An operational management system with awareness of application, server, storage, and networking behavior centralized for IT operators. The most popular Entuity use in this scenario is to forward real-time network incidents from Entuity to TrueSight along with a contextual drill down back into Entuity, so you have immediate visibility into what's happening. This can speed your resolution time by up to 30%. Faster resolution results in productive end users, and that keeps your business moving ahead. We also integrate with TrueSight Capacity Optimization, where one of its most useful capabilities tracks long-term capacity utilization. This is a valuable way to manage VoIP services, enhance planning for growth, and keep your CapEx costs in check by seeing where your capacity might need attention. We'll see this integration in action later in the presentation. And finally, for BMC Atrium CMDB, BladeLogic, Network Automation, and BMC Remedy, integrations are available to add network data to these specialized products, and ultimately providing a cohesive, accurate management platform. To sum up, our relationship has steadily grown from 1 integration to 5, and we continue to work with BMC to create enhancements that mesh with BMC's digital enterprise management strategy. We describe Entuity as being an all-in-one network management product. And by that, we mean instead of more traditional approaches where a number of different unintegrated products are used to look after specialized aspects of the total network management picture. For example, you may use separate fault and performance, topology, event, or NetFlow products. But Entuity, on the other hand, is one seamless integrated solution that performs it all. Entuity customers who have migrated away from this type of complex legacy collection of network management tools have reported as much as a 70% saving in day-to-day administrative overhead. And that translates into more time and resources being available to be applied to other pressing IT initiatives. Who wouldn't want more time to facilitate real IT projects? Operational efficiency is the time saver. Would you like to resolve service outages and performance degradation issues 30% faster? Entuity's rapid resolution gives IT the upper hand in adjusting what's underperforming before things escalate into critical issues. And 30% faster is what Entuity customers experience today, uncovering the root cause of problems. This has a huge impact on their service performance and increases end-user satisfaction by preventing and reducing network downtime and bottlenecks. If you're looking to effectively control CapEx, one way Entuity helps is with reports that analyze where spare port capacity exists and where future needs will be. These network details allow IT to utilize spare port capacity not currently being used, and that can hold off unnecessary immediate purchases. And you can effectively plan for future equipment purchases rather than have emergency buys that perhaps don't offer the best pricing. In fact, a customer using this report saw where there was unused spare ports and saved close to $500,000 on a purchase order for additional devices, and that was ready to be placed. That's a $500,000 windfall to an IT budget. Entuity understands that enterprises today need to focus not just on the nuts and bolts of network metrics, but how the network supports the business. From keeping all users, wherever they may be in the world, as productive as possible, to being able to manage your network, not just by device, but by service. To that end, Entuity offers ways to manage IT costs and validate network service performance for specialized audiences. Because clearly, what a CIO is interested in would be different from what the IT department needs. Entuity listens to customers in designing product enhancements which reflect these changing needs of IT. A business outcome focus supplies key metrics that show what services need attention what branch office requires more bandwidth, and where an application path is running into difficulty. It's all about understanding how your constituents gain value from the network. The enterprise mindset is wrapped around immediate execution. You don't have the luxury of time. Users need everything yesterday. Entuity's products are used in some of the planet's largest pharmaceutical companies, banks, healthcare organizations, MSPs. They all need to be positioned to grow, and we deliver unlimited scalability, cloud and hybrid environment support, application path monitoring, proactive management to help them stay ahead of potential issues, and more. New product versions are available once or even twice a year to stay in sync with changing industry trends. Enterprises don't stand still, and neither does Entuity. When you're able to see through the complexity of your network and get the metrics that truly help you manage your way, that is an aha moment. We've highlighted why Entuity is the network management of choice for some of the world's most complex and critical networks. The ability to harness the power of Entuity for optimizing service performance provides business value, actionable insight, and extensive automation, all necessary facets in delivering a multi-vendor network management strategy. So now, let's see how the BMC IT enablement automation team has utilized BMC TrueSight and Entuity to manage some pretty amazing technology with some equally amazing results. I'd like to turn it over to Bob Haywood from BMC. Bob, take it away.
Thanks, John. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank folks for joining today. Quite frankly, I really enjoy the opportunity to share our stories and talk a little bit about how we leverage our own internal products and those of our partners to really basically take IT and make them effective and efficient. And this is certainly an opportunity that I'm glad to have here. First off, the amazing thing to me is when I look at this, BMC replaces landline technology with VoIP. It was so much more than that. What we've done at BMC, and as you can imagine, the extent of this project being a bunch of IT folks on this call now, this is our CIO's legacy. This is SKYPE for Business, leveraging Microsoft solution and integrating with our current infrastructure and network capabilities along with Polycom has been an enormous undertaking. And we've taken it to a next level where all of our people, we've taken the phones off of the desk. We've really taken this to the extreme. And when you look at it, it was time for that. We looked at the increased costs of having on-site PBXs and leveraging, web-based type conferencing solutions and different kinds of voice solutions and conferencing calls. And it was just the amount of money and the amount of effort to keep all that intact was really getting out of hand. And our CIO had this idea that what if we could not only replace it cheaper and with something that's even more collaborative. So for us, the new IT management solution was to go with voice over IP, absolutely leveraging our current infrastructure, so understanding the capacity of our network today and the capacity that we would need to go forward was actually imperative. And when I say that, you can tell I got a little emphasis on that because quite frankly, these kinds of projects sometimes are so important and so move so fast, sometimes you forget to check every box. And one of those boxes we forgot to check was a little thing called network capacity. And we quickly learned our lesson, reached out, found our tool set that's always been there, by the way. But we've been leveraging Entuity and the integrations into our monitoring solutions and our capacity optimization solutions for quite some time. We just forgot to look at them. And what was it all about? It was all about successfully rolling out this worldwide unified communication solution. It was more than just voice over IP. We're talking about bringing in conferencing and desktop sharing, et cetera, and it all had to work seamlessly and give an end user experience that was acceptable. Really quite the challenge, and I'd like to talk a little bit about how we leverage some of the capabilities of both Entuity and our TrueSight suite, specifically Event Management Suite and the Capacity Optimization Suite. When you look at our integrated voice capabilities, really what we were saying is we needed to give our end users the ability to do three things. Voice calls, both internal and external to our company. We needed to be able to do desktop sharing and also video conferencing. In order to do that, we were having to pay attention to what is it that it takes to deliver this service, and are we monitoring and managing that capacity and that requirements in a realistic manner. This is where you see that we stick Entuity in the middle here for the network management and monitoring piece, and we're feeding that into two separate pieces of the TrueSight, operations management and capacity optimization. The TrueSight operations management piece is your typical bring in data, understand how the circuit's performing, seeing that day-to-day historical view of what's happening today and active events and data coming in. Then you have the capacity optimization side of the house that is also fed by the data and the events that we get from Entuity. And what we're doing there is we're actually looking and wrapping our entire monitoring solution and our tool set around the business service called Unified Communications. What that means is we're looking at the capacity of our network switches, our network trunks, as well as IOs and CPU and memory utilization of our back-end servers. So when that all comes together in one unified solution, you can actually see both how your business service is performing, but also with the capacity optimization tool, you're able to predict and analyze where your performance will be as you continue to deploy and add more users into your environment. The next slide here will give you a little idea of what we saw here. So when we first took on this, we were really looking at, okay, from a business perspective, we had a certain amount of activity going on. We were quite pleased to find out that as we rolled this out, people actually adopted to it, and they adopted to it to a point where we actually doubled our collaborative efforts across the company, and it had positive impact. The thing that we needed to make sure of is that we understood the existing platform and how many people or how much utilization we had on that, and be able to analyze that if we're here today, where do we anticipate being tomorrow, next month, and in 2 months? Because that's the beauty of taking an integrated solution like this and laying it against some business metrics. You can prepare yourself to expand and grow your new business service, but be ready to make sure that that end user experience is what it should be. And this is just a little example of how we leverage that information and data coming in from Entuity directly into our capacity optimization tool to tackle that business we call SKYPE or Unified Communications. Another little thing we get out of this is understanding from a high-level view with the ability to dig in, right? So if you look at this little quality of the circuit here that we're looking at, it's more of a trunk-level view. And what we're relying heavily on here is, for the unified communication, is the ability to take Entuity and leverage Cisco's IP SLA, and it allows our team to understand, are we seeing a pending degradation in service? So is our end user about to see something go bump in the night? And we're able to leverage the information and the data from Entuity, bring it into our TrueSight event management solution, and start digging a little bit deeper into what's happening in the background in the infrastructure. Simply what we're looking at from this particular view is the higher level view that understands that something's happening. Now we can get deeper in, and we use Entuity for two things. One, for monitoring some of our stuff and accepting the events and the data, but also as a troubleshooting tool to dig in deeper to see what's going on in the background. In this particular instance here, we're also leveraging Cisco's capabilities. So again, when you take on something like this and you start pushing data across your existing pipes, well, let's face it, we already have Oracle data going across, database updates, log shipping. We have a lot of traffic going across our existing infrastructure, and now we're going to add something like voice over IP on top of that. The thing that we also need to make sure is that we leverage the quality of service capabilities and understand when we increase here, decrease there, can we understand what that end user's performance and that end user's experience is going to be as we go into adjusting and make sure that we have the right amount of bandwidth dedicated to the voice capabilities, but not so much that we start impacting other things. So with the ability to dive into this and look at, you know, how does it look today and how does it look when we change a couple of policies on our quality of service, we're really able to stay ahead of this and understand what our adjustments are doing and how they'll affect things going forward. The one last chart, and this is an interesting one, and I know John had mentioned it earlier, the ability to understand and predict growth of simple little things like port utilization, switch capabilities. It's interesting when you look at a chart like this and you say, oh, well, that looks good. Things are going up and down. There's a little blue, a little green, a little red. But really the value of this is twofold. When you start understanding where your capacity, in this case, port capacity of your switch environment, where it is today, and where you predict if you continue on the same growth path you're on today, when are you going to hit a saturation point? It allows you to do a couple of things. The first thought everyone has is, let's go buy some more switches. The other thing you can leverage is, where are we using that capacity and can we reduce demand? So you can make some intelligent business decisions. Should I reduce demand here, or do I really need to look at buying some more capacity? And when you think about the tools that we have at our disposal sometimes, we always think about, well, it's nice. We know we got to go buy some switches. And usually the information we get is we need to buy some switches tomorrow. And trust me, them vendors just love to see that organization that comes by needing something tomorrow. And they really aren't as happy to see the organization that we've turned into, quite frankly, where we come and we're talking about, hey, in the next few months we may need to buy some stuff from you. Because it puts us in a much better bargaining position. And I think that's a little return on investment with many of our products that we use, but specifically here with capacity. That's a little leverage that you get out of all the other value you get out of this. So I think it's quite interesting to point that out. One last thing. So again, you know, when you look at this stuff, it all looks fine and dandy, right? All this is wonderful. We have $6 million a minute we used previously in our old pre-VoIP solution, and we were paying a few dollars a month, about, what, $380,000. I mean, you start multiplying that over 12 months, and you're starting to talk about real money, I think, somewhere along the line. And then we had the additional cost of some of our SaaS solutions and, of course, the PPX services we had on site. So when you start talking about it, it starts looking like real money. And the thing that you might gloss over here is the 6 million minutes a month that we had with audio conferencing and collaboration. And you kind of slide over to that side where we went when we brought into this, and I hate to just call it a VoIP platform, but more of a unified communications platform. Our company's ability to stay connected and collaborate more closely and more efficiently and, quite frankly, easier, actually just about doubled the amount of time that people are spending collaborating, which improved our ability to, right, quite frankly, BMC builds and sells software. It's increased our ability to make sure our products are better. We're able to, you know, for ourselves, we're able to deal more from an IT organization with our R&D people, feed them our ideas, collaborate across the ocean, and all of that became at a lower cost. So, I mean, that's nice that you went to $15,000 a month cost, and from 380, that just sounds wonderful. But the ability to collaborate and the amount of time that we spend together getting a more innovative environment was the more important thing that came out of this, as opposed to the dollar savings. And again, we save $5 million annually on communication costs. Something that's not on this chart that we've identified as another positive metric is our amount of travel, and the amount of time and the amount of cost in our travel budget has gone down between 10 and 20%, depending on what organization you're talking about. And that was all, quite frankly, a nice result off of the ability to have efficient, effective communication capability.
So now we get to the question, what's at stake if your platform tools are not integrated? And Bob, you've just been telling us all about the metrics that you've been able to leverage that are originating from the Entuity product, and how they've helped you with your VoIP analysis. If your team didn't have access to these metrics, let's say those coming from the Cisco IP SLA, your quality of service metrics, and all of your capacity optimization analysis, how would this affect your VoIP service performance? And do you think you'd be as successful with the deployment if you were missing these integrated metrics?
So it's interesting, because I know I alluded to it, and I didn't want to air too much dirty laundry, but I don't really have to imagine what it would be like. We actually made that error when we first started deploying this, and once we were able to kind of step back, get a breath, understand that we had made some mistakes, and began to leverage the products, the tools, the technologies, whatever you want to call it, in an integrated fashion, we quickly got control of the environment and understood our growth. I mean, our goal here, and I'm going to get a little corny now, sorry, for those listening, but, a guy named Steve Jobs had a kind of a good idea, right? Let's keep that customer experience in mind and work backwards to what it takes to deliver that experience through technology. So one of the things that we're really trying to do here is deliver real solutions with real value, and from an IT organization, be able to do that with confidence. And that's what having the end-to-end solution wrapped around and understanding the business service that we're delivering allows us to do. It allows us to deliver the service and actually deliver it with confidence. So sometimes we might sound a little cocky, sorry about that, but it's something that we're kind of proud of.
Oh, I'm sure you are, Bob. Having a business service management, or you may call it a digital enterprise management platform, and one that's integrated end-to-end, also lends itself to supporting many of the newer technologies that are available and those that are becoming available. How would your expansion into a digital enterprise have been hampered if you didn't have a platform that was fully integrated?
So, John, what's interesting is, everybody's into this digital world, right? Everything's delivered fast, and everything's delivered at the end user's smart device, and all that stuff is really sweet, and it's all fancy, and it all ends up on the front pages of the technology articles and everything. But the interesting thing is people have begun to realize your back-end capability and your industrialized infrastructure needs to be capable of handling this new digital functionality that everybody's throwing at it. And if it's not, again, you get back to that end user's experience or your customer's experience. If you can't handle it from a capacity and your network's not built for your future growth before you grow, not after you grow, you're really going to see a degradation of service at the end user or your customer's experience, and that ultimately is going to be your downfall. Having an integrated solution like this, understanding how it lays on top of your enterprise and how your enterprise is leveraging this information to grow is absolutely crucial to being able to move forward with this new digital enterprise and to be able to manage it.
Oh, I think you're on the money there. And not only are business service delivery and digital enterprise management vital areas to keep up to date. The user experience, as you've just said, is equally important. It's the glue that keeps a business productive and successful. So Bob, when you were planning out the VoIP deployment, the user experience must have been a focal point for the team. What do you think would have been at stake if the integration was non-existent?
So I know when I listen back to this webinar, it's going to be funny because I'm going to keep hearing end user experience, customer experience, user experience. But to me, that tells us that we're focused on the right thing. So it's kind of okay that I've mentioned that like 2,200 times. But it really does come down to what is it that the end user is feeling and how are they consuming this new service that you're delivering. And quite frankly, the most important thing is before you offer that service to the next group of your customers, make sure that you've properly predicted and managed your capacity to deliver the experience and not degrade the experience your current customers are getting. And without the end-to-end integrated view against your business capabilities or your business services, you're just not going to be able to make an intelligent business decision of when to bring on the new customers, what maybe capacity you should invest in prior to bringing them on. It's just not it all becomes a guessing game without the right integrations between products and in this case, making sure it sounds simple, it's always the network's fault, but making sure that your network is not going to be the one that's at fault, that you've increased your capacity prior to bringing on them new end users.
Oh, great. And Bob, I think we can share something that you and I were chatting about just before we came online today. That is, you're actually speaking to us today through your Skype for Business service. Your headset is directly connected to the system. You're speaking through all of the technology that we've just been talking about. So that's the proof that everything is hanging together. And so at this point, Kristen, can you see if we've got any questions that have come up?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do have a couple of questions. So the first question is, all the performance data from Entuity can be taken into TrueSight Operations Management and set a threshold using Operations Management or TrueSight Infrastructure Management. Is that a correct statement?
Let me take that one. It's partially correct, and in fact, what happens is that there is a way of taking a certain subset of data directly and extracting that from Entuity in real time as it's being gathered, and taking that and storing it and analyzing it within TrueSight Operations Management. Today it focuses on some device-level metrics. That's actually going to be extended in the not-too-distant future to arbitrary metrics that are being gathered by Entuity. But what we also have is all of that data is being gathered and stored and analyzed within the Entuity system, and anomalies and outright problems with it are flagged in real time in the form of forwarded incidents that go up immediately into TrueSight Operations Management and alert the users, and can also then be factored into various service models that are able to be created within that environment. So you can get the network dimension of what's going wrong and the things to be aware of in the right context, in the overall service context, including all of the servers, databases, middleware, applications, etc. All of that network data, and of course the network is the glue that holds it all together, is able to be leveraged there. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a context-sensitive drill down from that information within the TrueSight user interface that allows you to get straight back into Entuity to go into the gory detail of all of the history and also the contextual information, what that component is connected to, etc. So there's a combination of bits and pieces there, but it all ends up in a truly integrated environment where you can get the best of all worlds.
Great. So next question is actually about the port utilization report that we had popped up. So is this report a BMC report or is it an Entuity report?
Well, let me just find that one, and I think I'll pass that over to Bob. What's your comment on that one, Bob?
Yeah, so this is a report directly out of our capacity optimization tool, our TrueSight capacity tool, and it's just accepting the information, the events, the data coming directly from Entuity and bringing it in and laying it into a capacity tool that's able to analyze that data, predict what you're doing, predict your growth, and give you this view into what your future may look like, and allow you to do that both either, like I was saying earlier, demand management or purchase management, if you want to call it that. But one of the biggest things it allows you to do is manage and not be managed from your infrastructure. So yeah, this is all out of our capacity tool, leveraging the data coming from Entuity.
Great, great. So the next question is, we would like to utilize NetFlow and understand that NetFlow data is very chatty and will add to our bandwidth usage. Do we need to architect a distributed Entuity model for a global enterprise network to leverage Entuity within TrueSight in order to collect NetFlow stats?
Let me take that one. The answer is you've got many options, and in fact one of the beautiful things about the way that Entuity is architected is that it can be broken up onto multiple servers and geographically distributed. Sometimes you would want to have different parts of a network being managed on different servers simply because the network is so enormous that you need to spread the load out over more than one server. But there are other situations where typically because of geographic separation, you really want to localize the polling and the interaction between the management server, the Entuity management servers, and the network that they're talking to in that particular geographic area, so that you don't have excessive amounts of traffic going over your more expensive wide area circuits. That applies to the NetFlow as well. As that question implied, NetFlow can create a lot of instrumentation data, the flow records that come back from the devices that are targeted to the management server. Depending upon the nature of the traffic over the network, not necessarily the size of the network, but it's the nature of the traffic, you can end up with a lot of these records flowing around, and maybe you don't want them all flowing back to your headquarters over the wide area circuits in real time. Maybe you want to keep them in region. So under those circumstances, the Entuity servers, if they're distributed out to the regions, they can be handling that NetFlow data locally to the region without it all having to flow back to headquarters, while still maintaining a global oversight with a global user interface that gives access to everything of all of those management servers as though they were one large virtual network management instance. It just happens to be distributed out over multiple servers, but the end users don't need to be aware of that in order to use the system. So you've got a lot of options there if you need to work with architectural deployment alternatives.
Okay. And last question for the day. Can we get system-generated email from Entuity for historical report of bandwidth ES usage to use in TrueSight?
Let me take that one. The answer is absolutely. The Entuity system has an inbuilt reporting system that's all inherent to Entuity, and it can build reports based upon all of the different aspects of network management that it's involved in, the data link behavior, inventory information, and NetFlow information. All manner of information that it's aware of can be packaged into reports, and those reports can be created not only interactively but also run on a scheduled basis. You can define the schedule. You can define whether the resulting reports are just kept online in the web server to be accessed later, or whether they are proactively sent out via email, for example. So the answer is yes. You can automate all of that, and you can have these reports going out without people having to request them. They can just be landing in the inbox on a regular basis, and they can be bandwidth utilization reports or any of the other aspects of reporting that the system is capable of offering.
Well, perfect. So I think that this wraps up our session for today. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate you spending your morning or afternoon with us. Give a special thanks to John and Bob for all of the informative details. And I can tell you from personal experience that the new communications platform at BMC has been a really positive change for the company, employees like me, the BMC communications budget, an overall success. And we hope this session has sparked some future ideas in your own network. And should anyone have any further questions, you can feel free to contact us. You can reach your friends at BMC by logging on to bmc.com/contact-sales, or if you have questions for the Entuity folks, you can ping them at info@entuity.com. And we appreciate y'all for coming. Have a great rest of your week.